Welcome back, guys, to another video. This is a little bit different here, but we will be talking about some of the finest penny stocks on the market right now. If you guys are pretty interested in these penny stocks, keep in mind most of them you probably can't buy on Robinhood or Webull. You kind of have to use a big boy brokerage like TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Charles Schwab, for example. But nevertheless, though, recently the markets have taken a massive plummet down. Like the future's looking pretty bad. The VIX is going pretty near 30. I mean, the markets are pretty nasty. You guys have probably seen NASDAQ dropping several percentages. Cathie Wood's ETFs aren't really doing so hot either. And obviously penny stocks are the ones that have been dropping pretty hard. And because of this massive dip that we're seeing with a lot of these penny stocks, it could be a really wise time to buy the dip. Let's talk about our very first stock here, which is Torchlight Energy. Ticker is in the top left-hand corner, TRCH. Now, if you type in Torchlight Energy on Google, it's going to come up as a company that specializes in oil drilling and also drilling equipment. But here's the thing, Torchlight Energy right now is going through a lot of big changes. They will be merging with Meta Materials, which is this really techie, futuristic company that works with several big industrial corporations, consumer electronics, cars, aerospace, and defense. I mean, they have some pretty big customers as well, which is something you don't really want to laugh at. And they even work with Lockheed Martin, and it's pretty big. They also work with Airbus. They have a big aerospace company, and they have several different products like NanoWeb, etc., which are some really cool patent ideas that are really, really crazy and can be used in several different environments. So essentially, they are a company that makes very, very high-end and techy materials, which in the future, a lot of these products are being used in several different applications. They already generate revenue, which is a really rare thing for a penny stock. And obviously, Torchlight Energy, after that major news, the stock went from 42 cents up to almost $5, but recently it went from $5 down to $2.48 because of this massive plummet in the general market. And Meta Materials essentially develops really high performance materials, and they have different products. And this proposed takeover will be seeing Torchlight Energy becoming a clean energy company. So instead of your nasty oil and gas stock, it's going to be a clean energy stock. On top of that, it will be making some really incredible stuff. And they even won several rewards, getting major contracts. I mean, if these guys work at Lockheed Martin, it's pretty special. And so far, there's some pretty big catalysts, and I really like to see what Torchlight Energy has to offer. And if you look at some of the technical analysis, shares did go from 42 cents to $1.70, and it just hovered there. And then there's a pretty big, massive jump to almost $5. And there was some cooling afterwards and stabilized at 3. But of course, markets dropped pretty hard in general, so these guys went down with it. And then now it's at $2.48. I think markets are slowly recovering. But if you look at the amount of people buying the stock, I mean, one of the greenest days for Torchlight Energy when it went up 62%. The volume was 276 million in a single day, and then another massive surge, the volume was 256 million, and then recently volume has been tapering off, and also a lot of shares has been selling off. But keep in mind that I think Torchlight Energy has a pretty big resistance point at $2, and the inflow of people buying the stock is really high, but the people selling the stock, the outflow is very low. Look at the volume. The green sticks are extremely long, meaning a lot of people are buying in. The red ones means people are simply selling out, and there's not really that many people selling out shares. It's really scary when you have a massive red stick with a lot of sell-off. That means the majority of the investors are leaving, but because Torchlight Energy has good fundamentals, a lot of people are staying behind because this is frankly one of the best companies you get that's under a few bucks. Second penny stock that we will be talking about is going to be Boxlight Corporation, and the ticker name is BOXL. And these guys have been surging, going from 33 cents to $4.65, going down to roughly $1.45 and stabilizing around this region. Recently, it did surge up to $3.80, and it finally went down to $2.78. Could be the perfect time to buy the dip. And the main focus of this company is essentially on virtual learning and also classroom technology. The company's Clever Touch Impact Plus touchscreens have been gaining a lot of traction by schools on an international scale. And this product is essentially like an interactive display offering different collabs, good capabilities. Teachers can interact with students and vice versa. And their latest deployment of these touchscreens were at this school in Kentucky. It's been doing pretty well. A lot of people seem to like it. You get to learn through like an online basis. And I think we're doing a lot of major shifts towards like online learning. Yes, schools are slowly reopening, especially in cities like New York. There's a school that just recently reopened. Kids are going to the schools, but I think a lot of people really do prefer the online experience. I mean, everything was pretty fine, just like how a lot of people really do like the experience of just simply working from home. So BOXL, Boxlight Corporation, these guys are doing pretty well and recently have been dropping, but just look at the fundamentals. It did surge from $1.55 to $3.50. That is honestly pretty impressive, and recently they have been dipping, but it seems to have hit the bottom here because in the latest day it did gain 5.3% and then 2.5% after hours, and that's pretty impressive for Boxlight. And last company that we talk about will be Novan. The ticker name is NOVN. And these guys have been doing really well, especially how during 2019 quarter 4, it did drop from $3.72 all the way down to a low price of 21 cents because of a failed experiment. Bad clinical trials do cause this, and recently the stock did go from 30 cents to $2.59, and recently a massive pullback. But if you look at the technical analysis for the pharmaceutical stock, these guys did hover at around $1 and then hover at $1.28. So there is a lot of consolidation. The fundamentals for Novan is actually pretty good. And then there's one massive surge to $2.59, a recent pullback. I think $1.22 is a massive resistance point because the after hours look pretty good at plus 5%. I think the majority of the sell-off is over. Clearly see the volume is slowly tapering off, meaning the number of sellers are slowly decreasing, and it could be a very good time to simply buy the dip. So what's up with Novan and why are they so special? So essentially, they do have a treatment called SP206. Novan essentially is enrolling and also developing in a late stage trial of SP206 in treating molluscum contagiosum. Hopefully I said this right. Keep in mind that this is a skin dermatology type of drug and treatment, and right now there aren't any FDA approved therapies for treating this disease right here. So you get the idea. These guys and their drug in the previous clinical trials have been pretty successful if you look at some of the data. And they're in phase 3, meaning after phase 3, they're going through FDA approval. And what's really interesting is there aren't any FDA approved therapies for treating this symptom right here. And in this case, Novan believes that their drug SP206 could be filling this gap. And this is a really big hurdle because they have to prove the effectiveness of their dermatology therapeutic drug on their phase 3 study. If the phase 3 trials are complete trash, then they are kind of screwed, and that's millions going down the drain. But so far the data is pretty good, especially going from phase 2 and also phase 1. And so far, if they get through phase 3, they're going under FDA approval. If they get approved from that, then they will be the only drug in the world that's FDA approved for treating this symptom. And so far, even if this flops, they have several other major dermatology drugs in the pipeline, include SP204, SP208, etc. And what's really interesting is instead of focusing on one single drug like a lot of other pharmaceutical penny stocks out there, which is very dangerous by the way, because if it flops, their whole company goes down like 95%. Whereas these guys, Novan, they have several guys in the pipeline, so it's actually pretty stable. There's a lot of diversity, and that's good. Recently, there was a pretty decent pullback, so this is another very interesting pharmaceutical penny stock here. And before, Novan actually did really well. I mean, these guys used to be like a $30 stock, and who knows if they do really well and this get approved, and they're the only FDA-approved therapy for treating this skin disorder, then their shares are definitely going to be going sky high. That's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Comment below. How do you guys feel about some of these penny stocks? Which one is your favorite? I think Torchlight currently is gaining a decent amount of steam around Reddit and also StockTwix. A lot of people seem to like this one, especially how they are trying to transition from gas to clean energy. And this one had a really big pullback compared to the other one. So this one could be a really good bang for a buck. Thanks for watching.